I'm a gangster!
There's a church on the corner of the street in my town, where the blind lead the blind to salvation. They surrender their wills and their $10 bills to the sky. And it's one nation under God.
When I was in high school, I had this professor. His name was Mr. Marshall, and he told us that the only question that matters is why. Let's say I tell you that John shot Dave. Immediately you think John is a bad person. He's trying to kill Dave. And I can tell you a what, I can tell you a when, I can even tell you how it happened. But it doesn't change how you feel about John. But let's say that John was protecting his family. Let's say that Dave was trying to hurt John's child. Now everything changes. With that simple why, your whole perspective changes. So I ask, why do we do what we do? Why do we keep the Sikh identity? What is the point? And I believe without these questions, without the why, we'd never understand truly what it means to ourselves. And it just becomes a ritual. It becomes a meaningless ritual. And as soon as you extract that meaning out of it, what is the point? Whether you keep your hair, you don't keep your hair, what the Sikh identity means to you or not, I think the real question is why. So I decided to try to find out this answer. So I went and I traveled. I spoke to a granti. I spoke to a girl that keeps her hair. I even spoke to some random white guy who makes movies to ask and find out this question. Why? Alright, it is August 14th, 11:30 in the morning. Having an interview with Bhai Gurdarshan Singh at, I guess, around 11 o'clock tomorrow. Just getting my last things together. And yeah, we'll see if this actually works. When I left Cincinnati for DC, I still wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. On my way, I was still thinking about what exactly is this movie going to be. As day turned into night, I had an idea.
I am in Washington, D.C., and my cousin had Joke's basement. We were up till 4 in the morning last night. Darsh came over, we were playing video games, watching Fast and the Furious, Paul Blart, just chilling out. I haven't seen Darsh in a long time. It's not been too long. Yeah. I had an interview with Paisa after his webinar things.
Bhai Gurdarshan Singh, what does the Sikh identity mean to you?
For me, Sikh identity is what I am holding inside. To guard my values, my identity is the symbol, what I'm holding. It works like a fence. For identity, it is not just outer identity, the identity full of values, virtues.
What does Gurbani talk about with this identity in the human form?
Gurbani, it says the Har Mandir eh Sreer hai. We don't only respect human form, we revere it. And advantage is that you are walking temple of Vaheguru. You are walking Gurudwara of Vaheguru.
Paisa, personally, why do you keep your hair?
I don't keep my hair. Vaheguru gave me. Vaheguru has given me this for a purpose. I may not know this, but I'm trying to know it.
Now, Paisa, when it comes to why we keep our identity, or why we do what we do, whether keep your hair, cut your hair, as Sikhs, what do we need to ask ourselves in order to answer this question?
Who are you trying to copy? What are you trying to become? What is the purpose you are living for? What are you trying to achieve as a human being? what are the values you stand for, and how do you view life. Your identity is not just dadi case or pag or the way you look. Your identity, especially a Sikh identity, has very deeper meaning. Very deeper meaning.
Now, Paisab, a concern that comes up is a lot of people get rid of their Sikh identity because they believe they can't live up to those ideals or they're not at that point yet. What is the response to that? And why, not everyone, actually, almost nobody is up to that point. So why do any of us keep this?
Those people who you admire, you buy their bana, you buy their t-shirts, and even though you may not be at that basketball player, but you're still wearing the bana. It creates connection. It creates your bond with the player and with that game. And same way I feel that when you guys wear bana and Katka show or Vaisakhi Day or that, and it reminds me my history. It reminds me the players of the Sikh history. Those people who laid down their lives or they lived their lives.
So, Paisab, for you, what does this all boil down to? What is that one main quality that gets people through this, that allows people to keep their identity, to keep who they are regardless of what anybody else says around them?
People who live a life with conviction, not emotions, because emotions has to do with the time, place, and event. When time, place, and event changes, emotion changes. If you are a Sikh with the conviction, your Sikhi has nothing to do with the time, space, or event. You will remain Sikh, no matter where you are, in which situation you are, in which place you are, which time you are in. It's a very powerful message. When you are Sikh out of your conviction, and you have purpose, and no one, no culture, no country, no religion, no peer pressure, no group of people can change you.
Paisab, how do you view the Sikh youth today in their identity?
So let me say, Harjus Singh, you guys are truly, I look up to you guys because you are born and brought up in this culture. Even when I go to DC, sometimes I walk looking down, and not that same pride what you guys have. You walk in DC like you own Washington DC. You walk like you are the owners of this land. And Sikh Bana, that pride.
After Gurdwara on that Sunday, I had my second interview. However, the first person whom I asked could not do it. However, I was more than fortunate enough to find my friend.
My name's Dilrup Kaur.
How do you think Sikh communities view the role of men and women in conjunction with the Sikh identity?
In strong Sikh-based communities, such as the one here, if a boy keeps their hair, it's announced, it is applauded, the boy is given all the support he needs. But when a girl decides to keep her hair, it's hardly even noticed. Some communities where it's not that Sikh-based and a girl's keeping their hair, it's often okay, let her keep her hair. But then the boy is told, don't keep your hair, you're not going to get anywhere, and it's just going to get in the way of what you want to do in the world.
Do you feel the Sikh community views the struggle that women go through is much different than the struggle that men go through in order to keep their identity?
So that was a struggle I felt that was just as strong as the struggle the boys were going through, and it was kind of disappointing that ours wasn't treated as big of a deal as the boys were.
How do you feel about the new idea that as long as women keep the hair on their head, they can remove it from wherever by, whatever means they choose?
A lot of the girls I know keep their hair on their head, but they don't anywhere else. And it's kind of become an okay thing, because parents are like, oh, it's okay, it's America, or, you know, it's the modern way to be a Sikh. And for me personally, the hair everywhere else, just as much as my head, is as important to me, because I feel like the Guru sacrificed so much, and if I can't sacrifice this one thing, then what kind of Sikh am I? And it's just as important to me, to my Sikh identity. And it's something that reminds me every single moment or every single day who I am. And maybe it's not like that for other people, which is why I don't think there should be a clear-cut line.
From the Guru's perspective, what do you feel are the roles of men and women? How is it applied today? Is it applied fully? And if there is an inequality going on, where do you think this is coming from?
Yeah, men and women, I think Guru saw them as equal. In the Guru Granth Sahib, we're seen as equal. I don't see any Gurbani Ditok saying that men are more, can be more Sikh or more, whatever. Being a Sikh girl, it's disappointing that we're shut out of most of the things that are going on. For instance, from Harjus, we're not allowed to sit on the tabba, or many of the gurdwaras. There's a gurdwara straight down my street where a girl is not allowed to sit at the tabba and do chur or do prasad seva. The reasons I've been given for people saying, oh, you can't sit at the tabba or you can't do prasad seva are so blasphemous. Like, okay, oh, you have your monthly menstruation cycle or whatever, like that. That doesn't make any sense to me, so I can't even answer your question where it's based from. I think it's just men trying to keep the power that they have.
So in the big scheme of things, what does the Sikh identity mean to you? And what is the purpose? Is this something just physical, or is it more than that?
Sikh identity, I see as, that word itself, I see as something physical that goes into something not physical at all. You know, keeping your hair and wearing a kada, that very much is physical, but at the same time, if you don't have it affecting the way you act and feel every day, then it's pointless. You know, you can keep all the hair you want, but if you're not focusing on Guru and everything else you as a Sikh are supposed to be trying to learn to do, then it's pointless. And then at the same time, yeah, Sikh identity does help you reach those other things, because it's a constant reminder every single day of who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, why you're doing it, why you're here.
As I was making my way back to Cincinnati, I realized that there was still one more person I wanted to talk to. That this was not done, unfortunately. So I sat and I thought for a second exactly where this movie was going. And I still had not a huge idea until clarity hit. And I knew where I had to go. But on my way back to Cincinnati, I began to realize, how exactly am I going to do this? I didn't exactly have a whole lot of money, the means, whatnot. But have you ever read the book The Alchemist? Because in there's a quote that says, when a person really desires something, all the universe conspires to help that person realize his dream. And I don't know, it might be exaggerated to say that this was a dream of mine, but I really wanted to do this. And little did I realize that somebody that I knew was actually moving near there and needed somebody to help him move. And he was willing to pay gas.
David, what's the date today?
I believe it is the 25th, almost the 26th of August.
No, it is the 26th already.
Oh, it will be the 27th.
It will be the 27th. So it's the 26th of August at 11:30 at night. We are leaving for Philadelphia, and then I have to go to New York to do an interview with Ari. I got my white friend over here. His name's David.
Token white friend.
Token white friend. I'm gonna put you in the movie. No, Dad. Yeah, not gonna be able to make this movie at all. You know when it's due, David?
Tomorrow.
31st.
31st. Oh, that's right. You told me.
31st of August.
31st of August.
No way I'm gonna make it.
With my great confidence and my great time management skills, we were off to Philadelphia. And when I dropped him off in Philadelphia, I stayed with him for a little bit, but I had to get to New York City because I was doing an interview with a friend of mine who I met extremely randomly.
time is it? It's like 7 in the morning. Driving all night. Been driving all night long. I have been driving all night long. Look at the car.
Get the sunrise.
The sunrise. I'll get the sunrise.
After spending literally all night long driving to Philly, I dropped David off at his place in his new university, and then I went back in my car and I drove, and I found myself ending up in New York City, and I was there to do my final interview and hoping that I would get this movie done. I was there to meet my friend.
My name is Ari Gold.
Ari Gold is a filmmaker who just made a movie called The Adventures of Power with a Sikh as a main role.
Adventures of Power. What is it about?
Well, on the surface, it's about an air drummer pursuing his dream of playing air drums, but really what it's about is the human spirit trying to communicate when it doesn't have the means or doesn't think it has the means to do so. So for me, air drumming is a great opportunity for comedy, but it's also this perfect metaphor for people who have no speech, people who have no power, people who are outsiders and think they don't have a way to express something to the world, finding it through, in this case, air drums, but it could be anything, you know. So
we are better than they are.
We're not better, we're just different.
No, we're better.
We're different.
Better.
Different.
We're better.
Okay.
Now, in this movie, you have casted a Sikh actor in this movie. What sort of lengths did you go to cast him? Why did you cast him? And what was the purpose behind casting him?
Well, I was first and foremost originally looking for a great tabla player to play this part because I wanted an air drummer to play tabla and to experience a kind of drum racism in the movie, because the movie's about people who play rock and roll drums, and there's this guy who plays with his hands, plays with his fingers in the air, and I like the idea of there being kind of racism within a community that it's already discriminated against. So you have people who are laughed at for playing air drums, and yet even those people are not as accepting of others in their own community, because that it happens in real life. So it seemed like a great way to do that. So I had this character as a tabla player. I thought, okay, I can't find the right actor to play tabla, maybe I can find the right tabla player to act. And one of the people who came in was Jyoti Singh, who he's a solid tabla player, but on top of that, he had this compelling thing in his face, and I didn't initially think, okay, it's going to be a Sikh actor for sure. I didn't know, but when he came in, I felt that kind of feeling you get sometimes through your casting when it's like, this is the right guy, and now how do I convince this guy who has never acted before in his life and by some fluke managed to be convinced to come to a casting director's office and, you know, no headshot, never seen a script before, and I'm having him do lines. How do I convince him that he can do it? That he has, you know, I knew he had it in him to be great. And then, you know, then it also started to feel right to me that he was...
Sikhs these days is they start, you know, changing things about them. Maybe not necessarily because they believe in that's right, that's wrong, but they feel like other people won't accept them if they look the way they do. I mean, what is your views on that?
To some degree, they're right. Mm-hmm. You know, there are people who will look at you and think you look like a terrorist. I mean, it's just a fact. The question is it worth changing something that you believe in and something that may or may not, in your case, but may represent something that is important to you. Is it worth changing that thing to be accepted by those people? I hope that people, if they are changing their appearance, that they're doing it for the right reason.
Now, Ari and I met at very random circumstances, actually inauguration day at one of his concerts in DC.
What I remember,
Okay.
when I play a show, I'm sort of, everything becomes a fog afterwards, but I do remember this enthusiasm coming from a spot sort of on the front left, this jumping person energy, like getting into the music. And it was like the most noticeable thing in the whole area was this person, who I couldn't quite see. And then when I did see you, I was like, oh, that's cool, he's Sikh. And I mean, I assumed, maybe
You assumed correctly.
prejudice is pervasive, but yeah, I assumed.
You made an assumption.
I made
It
an
was correct.
assessment, yes.
A little Sherlock Holmes there.
And so I wanted to talk with you because I got kind of curious about Sikhism and also, having this whole, the tabla player and the actor in my movie and the whatever cousin of Sikhism went through my yoga teacher. Like, I'm always curious to meet someone from, with that cultural background. The fact that there was someone getting into this crazy music and getting it, clearly like getting the right moments and getting excited at the right moments, and also being sick was like, that's sick. So I wanted to talk with you, and found you down there.
Yeah, that was so random. That was great.
If you can silence all the noise around you that's saying you're wrong, you have no power, you don't fit in, whatever these bad voices are saying, stop and listen to your heart. Your heart just says, no, I'm still here. And that's all we need to do.
Perfect. Thank you.
Another life where we were meant to be a man and wife. I don't normally perform here.
Whoa, my bad.
I need to do a song in Punjabi.
From this, I started to realize how it all comes together. And yes, I say that we should, support things like Ari, putting a Sikh as one of the main roles. We should support that movie. Go out and see it. Go to the website, adventuresofpower.com or Power the Power blog, or look them up on Facebook or whatever. But we need to have a support system. We need to see it as positive. If you're going to see it as a negative, it's going to be a negative for you regardless. And for me personally, I found that, as a Sikh, we don't do anything unless there's a reason to do it. I don't find reason to keep my hair. I don't feel reason to cut my hair. It's all vanity, but I'm not actively growing out my hair either. I'm not going in front of the mirror every day going, trying to grow it out. I don't think it works like that, at least. But also, we should not discriminate against anybody who does or doesn't. It's all about seeing everyone and treating everyone as their equal. And yes, we're having a lot of problems in the Bund applying these Sikhi principles, but that's why we need to reflect. When we look in the mirror, we'll see what really is there, and only then can we make real change, positive change. Unfortunately, though, it took me traveling 2,500 miles, spending how much ever money I spent just to figure this out.